The 2004 tsunami took place on December 26th, 2004. It's sometimes referred to as the Indian Ocean tsunami, the Boxing Day tsunami, but this was easily the biggest natural disaster since the eruption of Krakatoa in the 1880s. This was huge. The fault line, this yellow line you see here, 600 plus miles long. There was a vertical displacement of roughly 50 feet along most of it. Many geologists didn't even think this was possible. And the the bullet point of dependence on coast and fishing and tourism really reflects the economies of these areas that fishing's your dominant food source for these areas. You don't have a lot of good farmland, so fishing is going to be a huge food supply. So when you have a tsunami that hits your coastal ports, that's going to knock out just not your local economy for fishing, but also your food source for your population. Also, this is a huge tourism destination for Europeans on holiday. It's a lot shorter to get over to here than it is for Americans to get over here. So this is the dominant tropical tourism destination for the Europeans. And of course, it's Christmas, and so many of them were on holiday anyway. And so the plate tectonics in action, what happened here is you were at a convergent plate boundary. And so the fault on the left, as it was going underneath the fault on the right, this is, if you want to be technical, this is I'll back up. The Indo-Australian plate was pushing against the Eurasian plate. And so when it was pushing against it, it was causing this plate to slip down a little bit. And then it stretched and then popped back up. But when it popped back up, it pushed the water above it up. And then it went out in all directions from there. So here you'll be able to see how I switched my slide order. In the open ocean, it wouldn't really be super noticeable. Your boat would go up a few feet and then go back down. But since all of you are familiar with wave dynamics and wave physics, that the wavelength is the peak from end to end, and there's a function of wave depth that's associated with wavelength. So just like our other waves, that when they hit the shore, like our local small waves in the surf zone, when the waves hit the shore, they slow down a little bit and they're compressed. And when you compress the wavelength, you increase the wave height. So this cheesy diagram at the bottom is one of the best ones. And so here the water was lifted up, the wave moves away. So your wavelength is very long. Your wave height is kind of short, surprisingly. But if I compress the wavelength, I increase the wave height. And so this is what causes the disaster at the shores by increasing the wave height by so much. When you're measuring these in kilometers, you can increase the wave height to 100 feet or more. So you're increasing the wave height and the wave depth. One of the characteristics of a tsunami is that often the water pulls away from the shore because you're getting this low part of the wave first, and people will go down and see the coral, the fish, the boats that are grounded and be amazed by that, and then they're killed by the tsunami coming through. So this is hitting Thailand. This is what distance is it offshore? How tall is it? How fast is it moving? There's nothing here for scale. And so if you're at the beach, the water pulled away, you're looking at the coral, this starts coming at you, your first reaction is kind of like, look at that. And that's exactly what this lady's doing. She's taking a picture of it. And this is the tsunami significantly closer. It's moving 80 to 100 miles an hour. And for scale, here's some of the longboats. This is somebody who's, we'll assume 5 or 6 feet tall. This is roughly 75 to 85 feet in height, moving 80 to 100 miles an hour. Water weighs 1 ton per cubic yard. You start doing the math of the mass and damage that would occur from this thing hitting the shoreline. Photos like this are extremely rare for the obvious reason. Any place that was close enough to capture this picture would have been decimated and destroyed. A lot of the videos of the Boxing Day tsunami are as the wave was lower, as it was farther away. And so you'll see maybe a 20-foot wave or a 30-foot wave, which is still devastating. But I've yet to find a video of this 85-foot wave coming ashore at such a speed. Now, the reason we have these pictures is these two, unfortunately, were killed. They're Canadians. They found their camera in the debris, but they never found their bodies. And the family posted the pictures online. So I figured that's okay. I'm not being disrespectful. That's actually Jackie Neal right there. I'm not being disrespectful because since the family posted it, I figured it was okay. But this is the devastation you get when you have something like that. That's almost a mile back to the trees back there. This entire community isn't just damaged, this entire community is destroyed. So Phuket was hit pretty hard. A lot of the beach resorts, these are the places that had the 20-foot damage or so. And this is a big tourism destination in Thailand. And I had two students who were in Phuket when this happened. This was the last day of their vacation. They were flying home on the 26th. They didn't want to get their surfboards out and get all sandy and wet, so they had their stuff packed at the hotel, and then they went for a nature hike. They come back down to find this. They missed everything, had no excitement, nothing, just the devastation. They were able to fly out the next day. So the biggest natural disaster in modern history, well, recent history, sorry, it just merely inconvenienced them, and they were right at the center of it. So fishing, this is coral that's been exposed. This should be underwater. So this is decimating that food chain. The boats are destroyed, nets are destroyed. Hotels, again, aren't just damaged, they're gone. So this is the same location generally, same resort, excuse me, and the level of devastation that happened here. So in Banda Aceh, this is the northern part of the island of Aceh. So this would be roughly the northwest corner of the Indonesian islands. And the before picture and after. It's not just that the buildings are washed away. Notice how much sediment has been moved as well. Now, I've posted this video on the Canvas site. I'm noticing that the transfer of a video to a video doesn't work really well. So I've got it posted here on Canvas. So that's it for the tsunami. It's not something I worry about in Southern California. I know it's unrelated to Southeast Asia, but the chances of us getting a tsunami are pretty slim, despite the fact that there's tsunami warning signs down at the beach. Don't worry about it for us. We just don't have the right tectonic conditions in order to get it. All right, everybody, stay safe. And if you're at the beach and the water pulls away and you evacuate the beach and your life is saved, I want a thank you card when that tsunami hits and it didn't kill you. All right, have a good day.